This is Boots to Boots, a show about real stories, real challenges, and real resilience. Whether you're a veteran, an athlete, or someone navigating a major career shift, the truth is at some point, everyone faces an identity crisis. The moment when the role that defined you changes.
And that's not just about service. It's about sports, careers, family, even the moments in life you never saw coming. Because when your boots change, whether they're combat boots, work boots, wrestling boots, or something else entirely, the road ahead can feel like uncharted territory.
On this podcast, we're talking about those transitions. We're sharing what it's like to start over, to redefine who you are, and to find purpose after the chapter you thought was the main one.
And we're not here to sugarcoat it. We're talking about the highs, the lows, and the work that it takes to keep moving forward. You'll hear from veterans, athletes, spouses, friends, and people who have faced the same question you're feeling right now. What's next for me? So whether you've served, supported someone who has, or you're just standing at your own crossroads, you're in the right place.
Welcome to Boots to Boots.
Hey everyone, thanks again for joining us on Boots to Boots.
On our last episode, we set the stage. We talked about your hesitancy to lean into your military background. We talked about the transition from being in the Marine Corps to being a civilian, and what the first year was like being out of the military and being on your own.
Yeah, just getting back into the civilian world, and we're picking up right where we left off. And
yeah, this week I want to talk about putting on your wrestling boots. Yes. And I want to get into your wrestling career. And I think it was unique for you because it happened so quickly. Mm-hmm. From the day you took off the combat boots to the day you put on the wrestling boots. And then 1 year after, almost, right? You were signed to WWE.
I was out of the Marine Corps November of 2011. And I was back home for maybe 2 months, and I started at the Monster Factory that May of 2012. And it went very quickly, and I'm blessed for how it happened. So picking up on training in there and getting in the ring and getting comfortable with the ring, knowing the ring inside and out and behind the scenes. Danny Cage was very good at helping me with that, and Larry Sharp was there still at the time. Bill Wiles was one of the trainer. Blue Meanie was there, and then I also had QT Marshall and Luis Martinez, or Punishment Martinez, Damian Priest,
yeah.
Who's thriving right now. So it's just good to see that. But it's just, I had a lot of good hands, a lot of good minds helping me out and mold me into kind of what I felt I needed to be and give me a good base and the basics and fundamentals in pro wrestling to teach me the proper things and how to do it and what not to do.
Yeah, well, and we kind of touched on that last time where you were talking about a lot of the habits you had to have in the Marine Corps. You also have to have in wrestling. That hurry up and wait mentality, which you've always talked to me about. But I think something else that probably is very similar is that discipline aspect. Especially when you're beginning your wrestling training, you have to be at training consistently. And when I started wrestling, it was 3 days a week. We did Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. And so being there those 3 days a week, every single week, and being able to pick it up faster than most people, probably you did similar, I'm sure, with Danny, helped you get your tryout faster, helped you prepare for the tryout faster. And then, of course, like, wrestling is who you know and being in front of the right people and
right
things like that.
Timing is everything in wrestling, and we know that. I think that's one thing that you learn as you get older, and it's about timing and who's in front of you or who sees you at the right time. And for me, I was lucky enough with a year and a half into being at the Monster Factory, Danny Cage had Gerald Briscoe come in. They became good friends talking on either Facebook or Twitter, one of those at the time. And he came in for a tryout seminar, and that was in July of 2013. And I had a tryout that August of 2013 and then was hired.
So you had July of 2013 was at the Monster Factory.
Was at the Monster Factory
and
for a seminar with
Briscoe.
August, I had my tryout.
You went to, was it the Performance Center yet?
The Performance Center.
It wasn't SCW.
No, it was the Performance Center now, because the Performance Center, I think, started that July.
Okay.
Of 2013.
So were you the first tryout at the Performance Center?
And there were so many names there. I went into it just like.
But you're not an independent wrestler.
No, I know, but like at the same time, my mindset was like, okay, cool. Like I'm going into this and giving every bit of it because this could be the best that my career gets out of pro wrestling, and I could just be on the indies the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. Or if this doesn't work out, how do I get to Japan?
Sure.
What's next for me after that to get into where I want to be, which at the time was WWE. So I had my tryout, nailed it, killed it. So as I was told no at my tryout, I still went ahead and said, okay, well, what do you need for extra work? Like, I'm in the Northeast, I'm in New Jersey, I can travel wherever I need to go. So that October, I got called to do extra work for the Battleground pay-per-view, Raw and SmackDown, which is New York, Pittsburgh, and Columbus, Ohio. I clicked those two in the last in the order. It doesn't matter. But Kenyon Seaman was the one that called me and said, hey, we're looking to hire you. And it was the best drive of my life. And I'm going to this pay-per-view, and of course Fred's there, and I just like, hey man, I got the good news. As I was going in there as an extra, I got hired for WWE, and like Fred's like, oh hell yeah. So he shows me around everybody backstage and introduced me like, oh, WWE just hired him for NXT. So it was like a cool moment for him to help me out at that moment too, to like where I wasn't just an extra. And
well, and he's been there from the beginning. He planted these seeds in your head of you could potentially be a wrestler, and now you work for WWE.
Yeah. And
that's cool.
To him, the joke to me too, he goes, Vince was over there, Vince McMahon at the time. He was like, you won't go say hello to him. I was like, okay. Went straight up to him. I said, hey, Mr. McMahon, I just got hired for NXT. I was like, I appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity, and hopefully I can do something for you in the future.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It was like one of those cool moments. And he's just like, oh, the ball's on you. I was like, well, what do you want me to do? I was like, why did I be scared of him?
Well, and I always say this too, like, mundane things like that, I feel like when I think about you, it's like, you've been to war. What is that handshake? What is that conversation like? What do you have to lose because you could have already lost everything?
Yeah.
And so like when people put you in that position, I always laugh now in our lives because I'm like,
okay.
You don't fear anything. You know, and I don't know. I'm always just amazed at how you're just like, and we'll give it a try.
Yeah, whatever. What's the worst? You fail? It's okay to fail.
Yeah, but I have such bad anxiety and panic about things, and you're just so like.
That's the fun part.
It is what it is.
It is. It is what it is, kid.
Yeah. Okay, so now you're full-blown wrestler. The boots are on completely. When do you start at the Performance Center? And, you know, like, I think furthering that conversation about that discipline you have to get into professional wrestling and what the discipline had to be in the Marine Corps, like at the Performance Center, which we've both been there, that discipline is completely different. So what was it like walking into the Performance Center as the first time? I wouldn't even say you were an independent wrestler. I would not classify you as ever being an independent wrestler.
Nope.
And so you're walking into a building full of them. What was that like?
It was pretty cool. Like, it was cool. Like, and I've been on the other end of it too, where it's like, we give so much to pro wrestling that people just get an opportunity, where I didn't feel like I was just given an opportunity. Well, I was given an opportunity, but like, I didn't just get walking around at one of the Arnolds and just like, hey, you look good, you can be a pro wrestler. Like, I wanted to actually go out and do it, and I was trying the best of my ability, but I was still very, very green.
Yeah.
But I was also taught at the Monster Factory how to be respectful to others in the locker room and how to carry myself, go sweep the ring, shake hands properly to everybody and say hello, and like just introduce yourself, because you never know who it's going to be. And it was really cool because it's like I can fast forward now with half the people in the TNA locker room some of them were at my tryout with Mustafa Ali and Eddie Edwards. Like, Eddie and I remember each other from that day, and I remember the last day Bill DeMott's just like, hey, can you run the stretch drills? And of course Davey Richards and Eddie are in the center ring because they're the vets in the class. Like, hey, like, just out of respect, like, Bill asked me to do this, do you guys mind? And Eddie's like, no man, just do what you gotta do. But like, I was trying to be like the young guy, like, I'm new, I'm still green. It was the same in the Marine Corps. Like, you're a new guy, like, you're still being respectful because it's like locker room etiquette, or at least that pecking order and the way you try to treat it. But like, I still respect to the people that are put in those years and the miles on the indies, and knowing that, I'm very lucky that I knew that at the time instead of just being some.
I mean, you didn't go into this with zero wrestling experience.
No, but like, I'm just.
But like, you weren't me, who had been on indies for 6-7 years, coming into the Performance Center, you know.
Yes. But that it's this whole different body of work. Everybody has their own story, and that's the one cool thing about wrestling is everybody you find has their unique story of how they got there to where they wanted to be.
Yeah.
And then starting there at the Performance Center in January of 2014, like, that was another, like, I moved from New Jersey. I was like, all right, cool. Well, here we go.
Yeah.
We're going with it. Like, all my chips are in, and this is what we're doing for life.
Yeah. And what did like mom and dad think about that?
Mom thought it was super like, they did it just, everything happened so fast.
Yeah.
So like, my mom's like, holy crap, this is really happening. And my dad's just like smiling from ear to ear. And you know how Charlie is, like, him going to live events and stuff with me when I was younger and being in love with Lita was like the best thing in the world. Especially when her whale tail was hanging out and she's up on the post getting ready to do the swan song.
And then your mom was always like, he was like,
Charlie was up out of his seat at Raw, just losing his mind. And it was just so, I don't know, it's a cool moment. I think that's now too in my career, like when I look at it now is like, I enjoy when mom and dad are around and like they get to meet the other wrestlers and just see it. Cause to us, it's like, it's just work.
Yeah. And they're our
So like
friends.
now they're still seeing like me live my childhood dream of like what I was doing with my wrestling figures. And my dad was telling me at 15 to stop playing with my action figures.
Yeah.
It's like, quit playing with your dolls. It's like, no, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Now,
And what I feel like, gosh, I love Queen Annie so much, but she watched her only son, your only child, say, I'm going to go sacrifice potentially my life to the Marine Corps. And she always talks to me about how your deployments were so difficult for her. And because you're her only child, she had you so young, you grew up doing everything with her, like, she's your best friend. And now you're home and you're healthy. And then you say, I'm moving to Florida to, like, live this dream that I didn't know I ever had, and it's all happening so fast. But then, like, for you, what was that like? To, like, go... I mean, this is the theme that we're talking about, right? Like, go from boom to boom to boom, like...
It's life. You just go with it.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's a weird way, like, again, you can say that's the Marine Corps, like, helping me in that way of getting my mind in the sense of, like, all right, life's taking me on this path, like... things are going to happen and you just kind of find your way, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like, and
I mean, you were at the Performance Center for
7.5
years.
6.5, 7 years.
Yeah.
Depending on
so,
how
like,
you consider it with COVID.
Sure as fuck found your way.
I did.
But okay, so like I was asking kind of before, like, I think for me that theme is discipline, and I think we have very different definitions of discipline.
You're disciplined.
But how, explain to us, like, how, you know, in the military you're up at a certain time, you're in formation at a certain time, you're doing this at a certain time, this at a certain time, like, the Performance Center, was it almost like going to boot camp again, I guess, is what I'm asking.
The tryout was very much a boot camp, and it was very hard, but also very fun for me, because I was like, that's where I thrive at. The hardest part for me at my tryout was like, hey, smile more. I'm like, no, I'm trying to get a job. Like, I'm trying to do something that I love. And they're like, smile more, be happy about this. Yet you're doing 50 rope hits on the tightest ropes you're ever hitting, or drop downs, crisscrosses, everything, up downs. And you're just like supposed to smile. But then, like, now you look at it and you get it. But then even going to the Performance Center, when I started there with the Bill DeMott era, like, I didn't mind Bill. And Bill and I got along very well, and I understood what he wants. So I was there normally from Monday to Friday, 8 to 11 in the ring, and then you're going right from the ring to the gym, and then you're going from the gym to promo class, and it was not mandatory, it was optional, but yet it was mandatory. So I'm there pretty much Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. Usually I get there about 7:45. I'm always early. Like you like to ride as soon as you're on time.
I'm a 5 minute later kind of gal.
But, like, I'm there at 7:40. I'm usually there at 7:30 in the parking lot, and then 7:45 the door would open, and I was in there getting dressed, ready to go sweep the ring, do my thing, and I'm there till about 9 o'clock at night sometimes. And then you have live events Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at the time, and then eventually shifted to just Thursday, Friday, or Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, but it's very structured, which I think probably really helped you.
Oh, it was so great, but it just, you put in that grind, you learn how to break down the rings again, and it's like you're starting all over from scratch, and it's just like, again, going in the military, you're just learning. So an easy transition for me was like, okay, cool. I did my boot camp on the indies, learned how to be a professional artist. Now I'm with the pros and going to my unit of who I'm with in WWE. And now I have to still learn what they do there, how they do their things. So it's like, okay, cool. And then I learn from all the people on the roster, and I get to know everybody and like what works, what's the pecking order. And it's like, all right, who's my mentors? Who are the people I want to like mirror myself behind?
Yeah. I just had this thought while you were talking, like, so a couple years ago I had read Spare by Prince Harry.
Okay.
And he talks about being in Helmand Province and at the same time you were. And I was reading you those chapters because I just thought you would connect with them. And you were kind of like talking about how working with like the British Royal Army, is that what they're called? And so I don't know, I was just kind of thinking while you're talking, like maybe that was similar to things you had to do in the military. When you're, you know, working with a different company, or you're working with a different country's military, or, you know what I mean, working with...
It's the same in wrestling. You're learning from different cultures. You're learning how different people work, whether they speak the language or not. You're learning how to work together and how to operate in a ring and put on the best show possible. So it's very similar and how to adapt to it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does that answer your question for
No, it does. I always just... imagine when I think about like you getting into wrestling, because we didn't know each other then.
No,
You know,
we're gonna cross paths at some point.
we do cross paths.
We'll get into that in
some
another
point.
episode.
No, but just yeah, like I don't know. I always just imagine how different it was for you from my experience, and I think for me it was. I'm laughing when you were like, they want you to smile, because they said the same thing to me, and I'm like, no, like, this is the only job I've ever wanted in my entire life. Like, I am here to get my dream job, and how dare you ask me to think this is fun? Like, my whole life depends on this. And it's just, when people aren't in that situation, and like, obviously you cared and you wanted this job because you were a wrestling fan your whole life, but I just laugh, like, at my tryout, there were people who were, like, bodybuilders, or my roommate was coming from figure competitions, and she was like, yeah, I met this guy, and he asked me, like, if I ever wanted to give something new a try, it could be fun, and I was like, it could be fun, like, what do you know, or a girl was, like, drinking the night, like, after night one, couldn't get through night two, and it's like, we laugh about how my definition of discipline is different than yours, but it's like, when you have a goal, you just need to like meet that goal, and how dare you squander this opportunity?
But that's discipline all on itself too, and that's like I tell you all the time: control what you can control.
Yeah.
And like people are gonna do their own thing. People are all have their different stories of how they do things, and like I know you love when you say like the people that you met that didn't like wrestling at all, but then they fall in love with wrestling, and that's a process you love to see. So like for me, like I love when I can go out there in a match and help somebody along, or help them, or I can be helped by them. That's where like I love the process of working together and going out there as a team, as a unit. Granted, we're trying to hurt each other in the ring and put on that we're hurting each other, but it's the fun part for me where we can go out, and if we kill it, we come back.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. And like have a beer if you don't have like, just, like I don't know. I just like that's the fun part for me.
Like we do that with each other too, though. Like in our relationship, it's like we're very much, we can be open and honest with each other about how like this is what I think you did better, or this is what I think you could work on for the next thing, or you know what I mean. I feel like we have that really great communication in our relationship where we can be open and honest about each other's discipline or each other's weaknesses and strengths, and I feel like that helps us.
Well, that's another way of, if you want to boots to boots again, we can keep staying on that same, but that's obviously the theme of our show because it's the name of our show, but it's like everything
our
show episode 2. But like I learned that in the military, like in the Marine. I keep saying military now too because you keep saying it, but I learned that in the Marine Corps. Like you take harsh criticism, you don't take it because it's being yelled at you, and you granted you hate the moment you're getting your ass chewed out because you did something wrong, but you didn't know at the time. And it's the same in wrestling when somebody messes up or something goes wrong. Like it took me time to learn, or at least transition from being in the military, that where you can yell at somebody, but in wrestling it's an entertainment world where you have to like have the conversation. Where I hated skylighting people in the military or in the Marine Corps. Thank you. Now you got this habit.
Being broad, military.
But like it's when you skylight people, it's you're doing it for hire or just trying to look good in front of other people. For me professionally, I like to take somebody to the side, but hey man, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like do better. Like what were you
real human being.
Like what were you thinking? And it's the same in wrestling. Like you don't need to sit there and chew somebody out. It's like, hey man, like what were you thinking here? Like when we come back from match, if a spot got messed up, like I loved when I first started, or I hated that I was a perfectionist. Now I love when something goes wrong in wrestling because now I can come back and be like, hey, what did you think that like I called this? What did you think I meant? Because that's what it comes down to, is like you're learning from each other and as partners in the ring. And if it's the first time you're working together, you don't have that gel, but it is beautiful when you do gel together and you don't have to worry so much about things. So it's like fun for me to like come back. Oh wow! Like if something messes up in the ring, I usually kind of get a snicker, a laugh. I'm like, here we go, let's figure that. But that's like, how do we get back on track?
Yeah.
So I think that's more of its own discipline, where it's like, how do I tactfully do this and also work together with the people that I'm out there to safely come back and nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
And like that's pro wrestling to me. It's so much fun.
Yeah. No, I feel like the more we've talked about it, the more I really do feel like you were so prepared going into this. It didn't matter that it only took you, a year and a half to get signed to WWE. Like, you were mentally and physically miles ahead of everyone else because of what you experienced beforehand.
Well, even that, and then I got to go to WWE and learn the WWE side of pro wrestling, and it's the number one entertainment company for pro wrestling in the world, and I got to learn television, how to work television. Everything I do is based off of how would I work through the camera to the audience that's watching and tuning in. How do I get their attention and make it as simple as possible, and still learn the live event side of things, but also know I should still work towards TV, because that's what draws people in and makes the most money, and that's what draws revenue in wrestling.
Yeah.
Like, I always wanted to be a TV wrestler. I never wanted to just be an indie person that just works on the weekends. Like, no offense, please, no offense. Like, if that's your thing, like, that's okay. Like, that just wasn't for me. Like, I wanted to be on TV. I wanted to be the Stone Cold, the Bret Hart, standing there that every kid goes and buy their merchandise, and I try to take myself as if I'm sitting in the crowd watching myself, and that's how I kind of go to my matches.
Yeah, no, you
What?
you are Stone Cold Steve Austin 2.0.
No offense. I get the comparison a lot, which I don't mind though.
No, but you've also, and like we've talked about, like you were so hesitant to use that military experience, but now it's everything that you are. You know what I mean?
Especially,
From the logos that you have on your jacket to, you know what I mean, some of the things that you say in your promos, like you've really been able to say, this is the wrestler I want to be, and I'm going to embrace it.
well, that's also the help too of obviously after 7.5 years in WWE and being let go, and then going to TNA when you were there already, and like that transition, like it was very scary for me at first just because COVID was still around, there was no fans. Okay, cool. How do I go and be me without an audience? Because now I have nobody to feed off of.
Yeah.
And then once the audience came back in and TNA was letting me kind of just be me, who I am as Steve Maclin, like it let me have fun and create, and my vignettes.
Yeah.
We got to shoot together, and like that was so just gratifying for me to do because I got to finally do what I wanted to do and not be told, no, you can't do this. This is for somebody else, or I don't see you doing this. And obviously that's that company. But
Yeah.
it's like TNA let me have the freedom to use my vignettes, and then now I get to go out and just create, and they say, hey, we want this, this, and this, go do your thing. And it's just like, cool, it's on me now. It's either I either excel at this or I fail at this. And obviously with us having both world championships here from TNA or in Impact at the time, it's we excelled at it.
And so do you find a lot of pressure in representing the military, the Marine Corps, in who Steve Maclin is at work?
I try to, and I've talked to vets too at like signings, even at WrestleCon, I was talking to one about just like, he just thanked me and he's like, I love how you just portray a real organic veteran and not like, I don't want to be the Hacksaw Jim Duggan, the Hulk Hogan, American flag waving, because there was a time for that, but to me it's just so cartoony, and there's a time and a place for it, but that wasn't for me, and that's not who I am, and you know that. I'm not a flag waving, like, when you look at me, you say Marine, and like that's all I need people to know.
The poster child for the Marine
But like
Corps.
that's what, like, you know, like that's what I'm. If you can look at me and already tell who I am and what I am about, like that's already the job's done, and that's our job as wrestlers. When you walk out the curtain, you should be able to tell if they're a good guy or a bad guy. And I know people kind of draw that line with me because I'm not really good, I'm not really bad. I don't know what I am. I'm kind of whatever you make your mind up, and I kind of go with it organically that way, and where we're at our storyline. So like for me, I want to portray the most real thing, and like taking from Captain America and the Punisher and Sons of Anarchy and little different details of characters that I can take and make the most organic character of who Steve Maclin is, but also put so much of me into it.
Yeah, well, and I think a lot of people don't realize how much Steve Maclin takes from Steve Kubrick.
Yes.
And, you know, yes, it's like you can look and you see the challenge coins, and that's some of my favorite moments to watch you interact from like behind. It's like when the veteran does come up and shakes your hand and gives you the coin, and it's that moment of camaraderie, right? Or yeah, it's like when veterans tweet at you and thank you for representing them. Like, I think that's why I've always wanted you to lean into it. That's why I wanted to do this podcast, was because it's an instant connection point. And, you know, I said it in the last episode, I think that military culture is so ingrained in American culture. It's also so ingrained in who we are in our relationship.
It's in our household.
In our household, in both of our families, in both of our upbringings. And so being able to tap into that in a natural way instantly draws people to you, because everyone has had someone who they know is in the military, had a family member who was in the military, had a family member who married someone in the military. Like, it is so, everyone can relate to our relationship, but then also who you're portraying on television. And so, you know, we have so much more to talk about, but like, I just, as someone who loves you very much, want to thank you for like the last 2 episodes and being super open and honest about how you've been able to transition from being a Marine, being deployed, and now being a super incredibly sexy, successful professional wrestler. But then also sitting here and being able to say, I'm going to take all of those experiences and I'm going to advocate for the veteran community and the people that I care about.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for calling me sexy for once. But enough talking about me.
No, I don't want to talk about me.
Because next week, we get to talk about you and how your story developed and how you got into pro wrestling and how we became podcasters.
Well, if you like Boots to Boots and you like what you hear, we need you to like, subscribe, leave us a comment, a review, and share it with someone who you think needs to hear what we're talking about.
We'll be talking to you.
Thanks!
Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.
Please like, subscribe, and listen wherever you get your podcasts.
This is Boots to Boots. We'll be talking to you.
Addie Soldier.
It's where you know.